print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
This is Patricia Mary, and for the next hour, I will be reading from the March 7th, 8th issue of Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. From the front page of Off Duty is from the fashion section, the must-have women's coats this spring. And this is by Rachel Perry. Spring is when outerwear becomes interesting again. No more puffers that swallow the outfit whole. No more bulky coats that flatten evening wear, or flimsy ones that leave you shivering on the sidewalk. Instead, trenches that hold their own, leather jackets with a bit of attitude, amarocks that feel genuinely sporty. Here are the best options to ease into spring and enjoy getting dressed again. The sporty amarok. The amarok is back, but not just for hiking. How to wear it. Thrown over something polished like a swishy skirt or tailored trousers. It offers a sporty touch that keeps an outfit from looking too precious. And the amarok that they have now, it's red and it has a hood. It's very short. It goes just to the waist, and it sells for $395. Here is the trench, reimagined. And a good trench is versatile. How to wear it. Cinch it tightly and wear it with tights and a slip to make it a dress. The most reliable way to look pulled together in under 5 minutes. The vintage inspired jacket. This is a military style jacket with big brass buttons. The looser, less buttoned up iteration of a Napoleonic jacket. How to wear it. This classic, close-fitting style looks best worn with simple basics like slouchy denim and a t-shirt. Embroidery buttons or statement pockets add a little edge. The funnel neck leather. This cool silhouette changes the line of any look and replaces a scarf. The collar is very high and it goes right up to the chin. How to wear it. Slightly oversized because it pairs better with any bottoms from jeans to skirts than a close-fitting leather jacket. And the leather jackets sold here are $1,680, and they're made of suede or leather. Enjoy shopping. Now for the fashion, the men's fashion, the ultimate men's spring coat guide. And this again is by Rachel Perry. Spring offers relief from puffer jackets that feel like survival gear. This is the time to reach for genuinely stylish outerwear. We round up the sleek standouts, including office-appropriate bomber jackets and long, lean car coats. And this is the elevated varsity jacket, which sells for $498 at Bespoke Coast. With fewer patches and inner darker neutral tones, the varsity jacket has become a sharper, more polished staple. How to wear it. Paired with dark denim or trousers rather than faded jeans or sweats. It reads less nostalgic and more grown up. And then the longer car coat, and this coat goes below the knees, and it's from J. Crew, and it sells for $548. Streamlined and unfussy, the car coat was originally designed as a mid-length layer for driving. How to wear it. In a longer, leaner silhouette that ends around the knee. It brings polish to anything from knitwear to a plain tee and jeans. Here is the office bomber jacket, and this sells for $695, and this is from Officinaire General. And the bomber jacket has grown up. Think of it as a more chilled take on a sport coat, and it goes right just to the waist. How to wear it. In sleek nylon or another polished technical fabric, it feels sharp enough for meetings but relaxed enough for after work drinks. Dress it up with cream or dark straight leg trousers. Pleats are optional. And the bomber jacket, other bomber jackets they're showing are pretty pricey at about $1,000. The patterned shacket, I'm not sure what this is. This shirt jacket hybrid is a thicker take on a plaid shirt. How to wear it. It's built for layering, easy over a sweater now or over just a t-shirt as the season warms. The subtle pattern saves otherwise neutral looks from being boring. Men, enjoy your shopping. From the style page, JFK Jr. had amazing style. What men should copy and what only he could pull off. Thanks to Love Story, a new generation of men is discovering the Scion's easy meet zany style and love of hats. And this is by Sam Schwab. Not long after the premiere of Love Story, the new FX series exploring the star-crossed 1990s relationship between John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bissonette Kennedy, content creator Meg McLaughlin began posting a series of videos dressing her husband George in JFK Jr. influenced styles. Out went the stretchy tech pants and golf polos. In came cable knit sweaters, pleated trousers, and even a backward driving cap. The effect was instantaneous. I was shocked at how good he looked, said Meg, 32, and George, 33, agreed. We put together some stellar outfits, he said. The videos crushed, with one crackling 1 million views on TikTok. The McLaughlins, who live in Massachusetts, have long been familiar with the Kennedy clan, but they are part of a new generation learning something their elders may have long known, that JFK Jr. remains a menswear icon on a tier all his own. His style is truly eternal, says Rian Morris, founder of the men's style platform Retro Ralph. Initially, the Ryan Murphy helmed series inspired sustained discussion and some criticism regarding its Bissette costumes. But with the show about halfway through its run, the season wraps up in late March, viewers have been reminded that CBK wasn't the only envy inducing dresser in their relationship. Before his untimely death at 38, JFK Jr. was an attorney, magazine publisher, and paparazzi stable known for his eclectic, just this side of zany, personal style. It never looked like he was trying too hard, says Rudy Mance, who, as the show's costume designer, was responsible for recreating Kennedy Jr.'s most iconic looks. He would wear a beautiful Armani suit, but then pair it with hiking boots and a backward baseball cap, and then jump on a bike. Photo archives are full of this sort of high-low play. A brown blazer with dark pants, and a wacky grandma knit cap and scarf, a printed shirt, slacks, and a vest, accessorized with chunky work boots and a large elastic headband. One menswear truism goes that you need to learn the rules of personal style before you can break them. Kennedy Jr., scion of the political dynasty that represented the peak of preppy style, epitomized this idea. There's this aspirational casualness to him, says stylist John Tids. As stylist Marcus Allen pointed out, Kennedy Jr. outfits were often dictated by what he was doing or where he was going. He was riding around so much on a bike, so the bike lock became a belt, Allen said. Wearing a bike lock as an accessory would reek of performance, but doing it while riding a bike, that's true style. As Marius put it, he's not doing it for theatrics or because he's been seen on a mood board. He's doing it because that is his life, and those are the functional items that he wears. While Kennedy Jr.'s style is novel to younger viewers, he's long been an if you know, you know figure of menswear diehards. When Allen started getting interested in men's fashion, he first looked to classic icons like James Dean and Robert Redford for inspiration. Kennedy Jr.'s off the beat path way of dressing was less obvious and therefore more appealing. Discovering JFK Jr.'s style was very much eye opening for me, he said. In the years since his death, images of Kennedy Jr. have become essential inspiration for menswear designers. He's a mood board staple, says Tits, referring to the images brands compile to communicate the tone of a given collection. Indeed, it's hard not to see traces of Kennedy Jr.'s easygoing high-low style in the work of any number of contemporary menswear brands. If you've seen a model wearing a beret in recent years, you probably have JFK Jr. to thank. Which isn't to say that guys who want to emulate his style should rush out and buy a Kangol. I guess that's a boot. The key is finding ways to merge your workday style with your interest. If you're a hiker, try wearing your boots with a suit. If you like to sail, make your weekday style a little nautical. Also, get yourself a dog, it says, referring to the glut of photos of JFK Jr. walking a pup in style. One reason Kennedy Jr.'s style endures it's because it feels at once nostalgic and contemporary. He was both of the time, but also weirdly ahead of his time, Mance says. Kennedy Jr. seemed eager to find ways to incorporate the cool, new technologies of his moment into his look. There's a sunny 90s optimism to his wearing sporty sunglasses and a Walkman with a suit. Today, with the office dress code in shambles, men don't think twice about wearing performance fleece to the office or headphones on their commute. George McLaughlin agreed to serve as a model in his wife's videos for fun, but dressing up like JFK Jr. has reminded him of the power of, well, dressing up. It's just a little something for us guys to put in a little more effort while you're going out to dinner or into a business meeting, he says. Another reason for Kennedy's endurance as a style icon is Grimmer. When he died, he froze in time, Tits pointed out. Kennedy Jr. is eternally 30 something, captured in the height of his still youthful style. Looking back at pictures, it's easy to feel wistful for a period before social media turned every outfit into an opportunity for personal branding, and to long for a sepia tinted moment now consigned to history. There's this nostalgic element of something that we've lost, Morris says. He was like an American prince. Was Kennedy Jr. especially stylish, or was he simply a handsome man who carried himself with the confidence of a literal Kennedy, able to pull off outfits mere mortals should never dream of attempting? No need to overthink it, man says. The answer to both is yes. You are listening to the reading of articles and features from Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Another article from the style page. You've heard of skincare? Get ready for hand care. The anti-aging ingredients and procedures used for faces are now gaining popularity for your hands. And this is by Fiorella Vallisolo. While Nora Ephron famously worried about her neck betraying her age, Some doctors and people over the age of 40 would point to their hands too. From exfoliating creams to lasers and fat transfers, the market for specialized hand care treatment is expanding. New York-based dermatologist Dr. Dan Belkin says he has been doing more procedures than ever to make hands look tighter and smoother. Once people have addressed age-related changes on the face, they look down, says Belkin. Do I have baby hands now? Says Tracy Bennett, designer of the fashion brand Alice and Olivia. He she posed the question in an Instagram video taken in Belkin's office after received after she received a treatment stack of software ultrasound for tightening and injections of diluted Medici to restore volume. It's a biosymmetrical filler. Medici doesn't just fill, it stimulates collagen production. Belkin said the filler cost $1,350 and the software adds an approximately $1,000 more. Vinette, who is fastidious about taking care of her skin on her face, was noticing a stark difference in her hands. The veins and bones were starting to protrude in a way that made me feel extremely self-conscious, she said. The skin on our hands is different from that on our face. It's naturally thinner, has less oil production, and significantly less fat underneath compared to the face, says Dr. Shanir Edris, founder of the Edris Dermatology in New York. So, as collagen declines with age, veins and tendons become visible much earlier. Then there's a constant UV exposure and frequent washing, plus a cocktail of detergents and sanitizers the hands are doused with daily. It's a perfect storm for accelerating aging, says Danatu Milak, celebrity esthetician and founder of Rescue Spa, which has locations in New York and Philadelphia, who adds that hands often show signs of age before the face. Hands don't just wrinkle, they deflate, she says. Milak recommends a similar routine for hands as she does for faces: cleanse, exfoliate, treat, nourish, and protect. Topically, there are now a bounty of options beyond traditional hand cream. Whitney Clark started Habilo Beauty in 2024 because she saw a gap for high-performing hand products. Habilo sells two products, and it's spelled Habelo, a specialized hand serum and fingerless gloves which prevent the serum from drying too quickly on the hands. Sakisha Lanchkier, Chief Product Developer Officer of skincare and makeup company Beauty Pie, says the customers are more ingredient literate and result driven. According to Lancashire, Beauty Pie has been a meaningful increase in consumer interest around hand care in recent years, and a 55% increase in sales year on year of its super retinol hand anti-aging night cream. Active ingredients in hand treatment production will sound familiar to anyone with a dedicated skin care routine. Retinol, vitamin C, peptides, and gentle acids. Glycerin and hyaluronic acid help attract and retain moisture. Niacinamide is great for improving overall skin tones, and peptides and gentle retinoids support collagen production and improve skin texture, says Lancashire. If you're not ready to buy dedicated creams or serums, you can often do double duty with the products in your routine. Susan Shade, founder of nail care brand Bare Hands, even recommends using the products that didn't work on your face. It's a practical way to reduce waste while upgrading your hand routine, she adds. And just as LED face masks have become a more common at home treatment, Idris says they can have the same collagen supporting, inflammation squishing effect on the hands as long as you're consistent. For those who want a more permanent solution, doctors offer a range of procedures to address aging hands. Belkin also suggests lasers for sun damage and brown spots. Fat transfer surgery, moving antipose tissue from one part of the body to another, is another option for some patients' hands, says Idris, who started offering it in her Manhattan practice at the end of last year. It restores the volume using your own tissue, says Idris. Possible side effects are the usual risks of infection or contour irregularities. Dr. Amir Karam, a plastic surgeon in San Diego, says fat transfer to the hands is now a near constant add on for his facelift patients for an extra five-figure price. Patients bring up their hands very frequently during consultation, feeling that they might show their real age post facelift, says Karam. It has become more common and complimentary for any facial rejuvenation to include hand rejuvenation too, to ensure there is no discrepancy in skin age from face to hands. Still, the most essential step is the most basic UV protection with sunscreen or gloves. Here's an article from the U.S. Economy. A new generation of mall rats has arrived, and this is by Kate King. Gen Z shoppers are hanging out at malls and documenting everything on social media, helping boost a budding recovery in stores. And this is by Tyson, Virginia. Sarah Gaulis scrolls through her phone all the time, but when she needed an outfit for a Valentine's Day date, the 24-year-old went to the mall. I don't really like shopping online, she says. I'm an instant gratification girl. I need it now. Sarah held her phone in one hand and a $29 black lace top in the other as she documented her shopping trip on Instagram. The first digitally native generation is erecting an old fashioned American pastime, shopping at the mall. Gen Z's retail spending growth is outpacing all other generations, according to the data from firm Nielsen IQ, with the generation's global annual retail spending expected to exceed 12 trillion by 2030. The cohort also spends a greater portion of their discretionary dollars in physical stores rather than the older generation, according to the data firm Circana. Younger shoppers' malls enthusiasm is a bright spot for a business that has struggled with property closures and declining foot traffic in recent years, in part because the millennial generation never warmed to hanging out at the mall in the same way Gen X has. Gen Z has helped boost the recent recovery with demand for mall space rising again. Shoppers between the ages of 18 and 24 bought 62% of their total general merchandise purchases in stores last year. Shoppers ages 25 and older, by contrast, made 52% of their purchases in person, according to Circana. For Gen Z, whose members grew up in the smartphone era and spent formative years under pandemic lockdown, buying clothes and bubble tea in person is novel and exciting. Meeting up with friends, rubbing fabric between their fingers, and the overall vibe of wandering through a bustling shopping center are experiences they can't get online. Even if you don't buy anything, Just going out is really fun, says Piranha Yanni, 14, who was shopping at Tyson Corner Center in Washington, D.C. suburbs on a recent Saturday. An afternoon at the mall looks far different for Gen Z, whose members span ages 14 to 29, than it did for their parents or even their grandparents' generation. TikTok influencers inspired Gen Z's in store purchases. Young mall shoppers snap selfies in fitting room mirrors. Malls are retrofitting to create social media friendly spaces and welcoming influencers. Online retailers are opening traditional stores inside malls. Honora Medee, 16, said she prefers shopping in person so she can try clothing on, but her mall trips often start with posts she's seen on Pinterest or from social media influencers. I get outfit inspo from online and then I come into the stores to buy. Mall owner Metrics, who owns more than 3 dozen malls across the country, including Tyson Corner Center, is courting online retailers popular with Gen Z. The company is also redesigning some of the mall's commons areas with social media in mind, painting staircases and the nooks under escalators in bright, eye-catching designs to encourage impromptu photo shoots. Are malls photogenic? Merchant's chief executive officer Jack Kish says, I do think there's an opportunity for us as we think about the future of the mall. Chick, a purveyor of stylish sweatpants and trendy going out tops, started online in 2021. It opened its first physical store 2 years ago. The company now has 11 locations and plans to open 14 more this year. I'm sorry, I said the name wrong. It's Edic. Online buzz powers Edic's brick and mortar success. On Valentine's Day, promises of freebies advertised on its social media feed drew dozens of teenagers and young women to its Tyson Corners Center store. Edic staff handed out roses and pink tote bags. Shoppers stopped to pose in front of an artfully arranged cart of roses parked at the store's entrance. Inside, the music blared as customers snapped selfies with free cups of matcha and propped their phones up against stacks of clothing to film short videos. We're trying to create through social media an exceptional experience, says Mina Pham, Bitrix, head of retail. Anna Littleton and Nino Cotoro, both 20, arrived wearing outfits Edict had sent them for free. The James Madison University roommates were recruited to be brand ambassadors last year at a pop-up shop the company opened on campus. They received $150 worth of clothing for each event they attend at the Tyson Corners Center store. In exchange, they post photos or videos from the event on Instagram and TikTok. This is such a girlhood experience, says Littleton, who plans to enlist in the U.S. Army after graduation. We got here a little bit early, so we did our makeup in the car. We're getting ready together, just talking about life. Renee Killiam, 16, who says she goes to the mall every weekend, spends between $300 and $500 per shopping trip. I need to feel the texture before I buy. I need to see how it looks in person, she said. Plus, she doesn't like paying for shipping. Her mother, Erika Killian, and Jen Exer, who grew up when mall culture was at its apex, she spent countless hours as a teenager in the 1990s working at her family's Chinese food restaurant at the mall near their home and hanging out with friends. Hollywood celebrated mall culture with movies like Mallrats and the 1982 classic Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Smartphones aside, many aspects of her daughter's mall trips feel similar and familiar, including the fashion trends. Erica says, from the styles to them hanging out at the mall. It reminds me of when I was a teen, she said. Even though she grew up at the mall, Erica says these days she mostly shops online. I don't have to deal with the crowds, and I know they'll have my size, she says. Gen Zers' enthusiasm for in person shopping is lifting some retail sales and store counts. Tapestry, owner of Coach and Kate Spade, posted double digit sales growth in stores during the quarter ending December 27th, due largely to enthusiasm from Gen Z shoppers. Chief Growth Officer Sandip Seth said. To connect with Gen Z, some salespeople have social media feeds saved on their tablets to show shoppers how influencers are styling the brand luxury handbags. This generation isn't adverse to talking to people, but how do you? It is very different, Seth says. They want to get information not from a salesperson, they want to talk to an influencer or a friend. After years of shrinking its footprint, Sun, a longtime mall staple that caters to younger shoppers, grew its store count last year for the first time in 18 years. The company plans to open up 35 new stores by 2029. It's because Gen Z is showing up at the malls, says CEO Bree Olson. Here's an essay. I'm a college student. Gen Z sports betting is wrecking my friends' lives. Among my college peers, using app to bet on sporting events has become a dangerous rite of passage. March Madness will only add fuel to the fire. And this is by Eli Thompson. Last fall, as a freshman newly arrived at North Greenville University, I was in a lecture hall, bored and scrolling on my phone, when something pulled me away. One of my football teammates was furiously tapping buttons on his phone. What was he doing? It turned out he was placing a $200 wager on an NBA game that night. As an 18-year-old, he uses his own debit card to regularly place bets, and he's not the only one. On my campus, especially among many of my teammates, guys have become obsessed with online sport betting, sometimes spiraling into debt. What starts out as a seemingly harmless diversion quickly becomes a trap. I've had friends who have lost hundreds, lied to their families, and pulled away from the team, all while chasing the rush of a winning bet that may never arrive. Sports gambling was a major problem for many of my high school classmates, but it got even worse in college. Now, as March Madness ramps up this weekend, while wagering and betting pools are everywhere, the opportunity to get sucked into gambling apps will only increase. Today's college sports culture makes betting feel like a rite of passage, and platforms like FanDuel, Prize Picks, and BetMGM make it all too easy to pick up the habit. Although the legal gambling age is 18 in a handful of states, the American Gambling Association, who represents the major betting platforms, required that 73.6% of the audience for ad campaigns be 21 or older, and it prohibits marketing on college campuses. But when my peers see the app's slick marketing campaigns, the pull is undeniable, with celebrity endorsed ads hyping the thrill of a quick win on TikTok and the Instagram in the run up to nearly every sporting event. I've watched friends score a few wins on a smaller bet only to go on to bigger wagers and then lose it all. During last year's March Madness, one was down more than $500 and had to come clean to his family because he used a card linked to their accounts. His parents grounded him and cut off support for a while. After that, he didn't hang out with us as much, saying he was embarrassed after the losses. Once young men figure out a way around the age verification process whether by using a VPN or a parent or adult's older, an older relative's bank information, they can quickly swipe and wipe out any savings from jobs or allowances. I have one friend who used money from a part-time job to bet on the NBA games. Once that was gone, he got desperate and started using a family member's linked account, burning through $600 before they caught on. Another teammate convinced his parents to allow him to make a $50 bet for fun. After losing, he secretly used a shared credit card to try to recoup his losses. Another friend ended up selling his gaming console and a pair of shoes to cover a $500 bet that didn't pan out. The social fallout can be tough, with the heaviest bettors sometimes ghosting friends entirely. One guy who used to be the life of our group chat went quiet as he got caught up in tracking his bets. Others struggle with academic classes, staying up late glued to apps and skipping homework. Wow, why is betting so popular among guys my age? It's partly how we think. Our brains struggle to deal with the consequences of a 200 bet or a $400 loss. Pamela Brennan Davis, leader of the New York Council on Problem Gambling, warns that younger brains are not developed enough to handle the addictive nature of gambling. Near wins also exploit their vulnerability by activating our brain reward system mostly as strongly as a win, making losses feel like progress and encouraging us to keep betting. And when we do win, the rush of adrenaline can feel like a drug. The betting app knows how to capitalize on this, advertising free bet offers and same day payouts. On top of this, celebrities and influencers make sports betting look like a fast track to a new car or a Rolodex. Friends will brag about wins and how much money they are supposedly making. One told me that when he saw a DraftKings ad during an NBA game, he thought, it must be okay if Kevin Hart is doing it. What can we do to solve the problem? Parents need to talk to their kids, not just about setting reasonable limits for how much financial loss is tolerable, but about how to resist the temptation to bet in the first place. My friends are good kids. They're just chasing an experience and don't fully understand the consequences. I've bet small amounts before, and at time it didn't feel serious. But that's the problem. High schools should teach about the dangers of gambling in the same way they teach about drugs and alcohol, and not just for how it impacts our finances, but for the damage it can do to our lives. The cautionary tales aren't far off stories. They're warnings about what happens to young men right now. And I don't want to watch another friend sell his stuff or lie to his family, because sports betting isn't just harmless fun. It's about guys my age risking their futures one bet at a time. You are listening to the reading of articles and features from Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Another one from the style page. The fittiest people you know are sweating it out at Hyrox. Hyrox. The athletic competition is rivaling triathlons and obstacle races as the must-do event for weekend warriors. And this is by Caitlin Carlson. Tatiana Forbes sipped a Red Bull as she walked to the convention center at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas on Friday night. Wall-to-wall bodies, neon lights, and pulsating house music greeted her. It's an absolute party, she says. Forbes, 31, an influencer in Atlanta, stripped down to a crop tank top and leggings and got ready to run 2 kilometers, ski 1,000 meters on a machine, and carry two 30-pound kettlebells for 200 meters. Her goal to run around a 10-minute mile pace, complete the ski in under 6 minutes, and haul the weights in under 2 minutes, and have a good time doing it all. This is High Rocks, the fitness competition that is rivaling triathlons and obstacle courses races to become the exercise challenge all the fittest people you know are signing up for. If you wanted to do a fitness competition in the past, you did a running race or maybe the CrossFit Games, which whittled a field of hundreds of thousands who competed virtually down to the fittest man and woman on earth. But a growing category of gym like workout challenges is now enticing people who want to spend their weekend in a festival like atmosphere while testing both their strength and endurance and enjoying amenities like massage chairs, compression booths, and even haircuts, as well as an after party. High Rocks, which will hold 135 events in 43 countries this year, draws an average of 15,000 participants per competition. A single entry costs between $100 and $200, depending on the category, and events often sell out within hours, sometimes within minutes. The Vegas gathering held last weekend had around 20,000 participants. High Rocks' 8-day long New York City event in June will have around 40,000 participants. For comparison, the TCS New York City Marathon had just over 59,000 participants in 2025. We never thought these numbers in the beginning, said event planner Christian, who co founded High Rocks as a simple series of running and strength exercises with three-time Olympic hockey medalist Maurice Fusay. The first competition was in Germany in 2018. The race involved doing 8 exercises you might see in a CrossFit box or more athletic gyms and running a kilometer in each one. There are divisions for solo athletes, or people can partner up with a workday buddy or join a 4-person relay team with rolling starts for everyone so the field is never only stragglers. On average, racers finish in about an hour and a half. Every movement pattern represents a sport in the real world. 3-time High Rocks world champion Hunter McIntyre says, when you put it all together and say, who can do all these things faster and better than anyone else? That's a High Rocks athlete. With workout buddies and sometimes entire gyms wear High Rocks bright pink and purple sneakers, as well as logoed t-shirts and hoodies, all created with Puma, the company's official apparel and footwear partner for all races. Train together and post on social media about it. High Rocks participants take their fitness and wellness seriously, says Edmund Hertzman, founder and CEO of Athletic News, a wellness and fitness industry media company. It's like a badge of cool. At the same time, the competition doesn't take all day or require Ironman level of prep. Wyatt Navarro, 28, a Marine Corps veteran and firefighter in Santa Barbara County, trained with his firefighter buddies on his shift days for the event in Vegas, his first High Rocks. Having the crew run workouts with me and the team atmosphere kept the intensity high, he said. High Rocks events are also becoming a place for singles to meet, compete with people in the crowd holding signs that say, for example, looking for a husband. Keep pushing the sled if you're interested. 3-time world champion Lauren Weeks, 36, got hooked after competing in her first race in 2019 in Miami, and started traveling the world with her husband to competitions in Germany and France. The two ultimately quit their jobs to start a training business built around High Rocks. Since then, she's competed while 8 months pregnant, and at the Vegas competition, she was hoping to break the mixed double record of 49-13. Her team fell short, finishing in 50-21. We've all thrived on competition, she said, but it's hard to find that as an adult. The average High Rocks competitor is female and 35 years old, but participants span a large range as far as up to 85 and different fitness levels. Hertzman says the High Rocks has become so popular because it's not intimidating the way others elite endurance events work. In part, this is because no one in last place is there are for endurance events since new waves are constantly starting in contained space, creating more a feel of togetherness than falling behind. Still, high rocks accessibility doesn't mean it's not a challenge. If you can't do 100 push ups or 100 squats, you're in for a bad day, High Rocks champ McIntyre says. Gyms and fitness studios have also embraced High Rocks. Orange Theory and F45 training, both of which have classes that use the same or similar movements as High Rocks, offer specialized High Rocks training. Peloton also offers curated classes to help people train for the event. Tolis says the company's ultimate goal is to be as popular as road running and potentially become an Olympic sport. In Vegas, as competitors complete the races, they were handed rectangular black and white patches um, emblazoned with High Rocks Las Vegas that can be velcroed onto backpacks and duffel bags. By the time Forbes crossed the finish line, she nailed the personal goal she has set for herself, and her team finished in 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 43 seconds. She's already signed up for another High Rocks in Houston at the end of March. Some of her teammates hit the casino, but Forbes opted for Chinese food instead. I had some Mongolian beef, then I passed out, she said. You are listening to the reading of articles and features from Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. From Off Duty Travel, craft retreats are the new burnout cure. From the art of flowering arranged in Belgium to textile design in Eswanti, new hands-on workshops offer a way to unplug while picking up a new hobby. And this is by Jane Black. I bolted awake at 7 a.m., unusual for me any day, but especially on vacation. I slipped on waterproof shoes, grabbed a pair of shears, and still in my pajamas, tiptoed down the grand staircase of the chateau and out onto the dewy grass of the garden. A rainbow of summer dahlias glowed in the early light. Buttercup, tangerine, and dusty mauve ball dahlias, and my favorite, the smiling daisy-like coletas called rhubarb and custard, which looked straight out of Alice in Wonderland. It wasn't long before I had filled the bucket with blooms. I felt a bit like a marauding Viking, mowing down such perfect stems, but this is why I had come to the quiet corner of Belgium, near the Dutch border, to study the art of flower design with American expatriate Emily Everson, aka Flora Piana. I headed to the workshop, housed in an airy stone barn, and found I was not the only early bird. Three members of my group were already at work. A growing number of overworked travelers are seeking rejuvenation in retreats and tours that focus on connection and creativity. Block printing in Finland or India, sewing in England, embroidery in Italy. Sometimes called slocations, these trips sell themselves as the opposite of the soul sucking follow the flag tours. The trips are particularly appealing to solo women travelers, a long overlooked but rapidly growing segment of the travel market. Flowers, Pick flowers in a chateau garden. Avison fell into floristry by accident. In 2006, she moved to Belgium to be with her now husband, but felt that she didn't quite fit in. Averson began making bouquets from her garden and leaving them around town, with cards that read, Adopt Me, and her contact details. The lonely bouquets, as she dubbed them, garnered her local and later global attention and helped her to develop her loose, lush style of flower design that is catnip on Instagram, where she has more than 125,000 followers. Floripian retreats run from $3,600 for 5 days and include accommodations at a picture perfect chateau, All you can pick flowers, one-on-one guidance from Everson, and meals, including morning deliveries of breakfast pastries, quiches, and double cream cheeses. The most profound pleasure of the week was time spent with a dozen other women who had given themselves the gift of a week's immersion in beauty and creativity. It felt natural to spend days and languish summer evenings sharing our inspirations and aspirations and plans. I made at least one friend I hope to keep for life. Block print on a Flemish island retreat. Like Averson, Louetta Jodstauer has developed her own cult following for her Scandinavian inspired print and textile brand under her name. She's published a dozen books on textiles, sewing, pattern design, and more, and collaborated with major design houses. After spending much of her career in the U.S., she recently moved back to Åland, a Flemish archipelago of more than 6,000 islands, and began hosting art workshops. People are curious about who I am, she says. The workshops, she says, are genuinely an extension of my life. Jan Stouter offers two summer retreats starting at $4,400 for 5 days on a private 40-acre island not far from her home. Alongside a barn that's been converted into a craft workshop, the island also hosts a working farm and, because it is Finland, a sauna. Guests may choose to spend a full day block printing and drawing or take breaks to kayak or canoe. The chef-prepared buffet meals feature traditional dishes like a creamy local fish soup, braised lamb, and summer berries. The food is a big part of the experience, Jan Stauer says. Joanna Goulding, a retired pellet care physician from Vermont who attended Jan Stouter's retreat in 2024, was initially drawn to its location. Her mother's family had emigrated to the U.S. from Ireland, but the experience opened the door to more craft retreats, including a recent trip to Penland, the famed North Carolina Crafts School. Choose a craft around the world. Chase a craft around the world. Tour companies Ace Camps have taken the craft station model and made it global, with some 2 dozen craft focused offerings to Mexico, Japan, Italy, and more. Each trip follows a simple formula. Choose a destination and partner with an artist to help bring it to life. We love this idea that a group of people can get together and do things they wouldn't be able to do on their own, says co-owner Vida Salazar. You can travel and be flourished and nourished instead of tired at the end. Jean Bushell, an advisor to health tech companies in Silicon Valley, joined a 2024 ACE Camps weaving retreat in the Italian region of Puglia. After decades of unrelenting attention to career and children, she loved the idea of turning out the noise and using her hands. Over the next 13 months, Michelle joined more ACE camp trips to Eswatini to learn batiking and basket weaving, and Portugal to study embroidery. The trips helped Michelle to think differently about her work and how she wanted to spend her time. I got advice from women in their 30s and the advice from women in their 70s. A tribe of women carried me through the change in my life. Michelle is now pursuing a master's degree in library science and planning what crafts she will learn next. From the food and drink page, how to throw a mid-century modern cocktail party, Palm Springs style. At a celebration of all things modern, attendees dressed the part and picked up some new mixology skills. And this is by Nancy Keats. It's around 3 p.m. on Thursday, and Joni Gonzalez, a nurse, has just learned to make the perfect batch of penicillin. She takes a sip. It's inspiring, she says. I need to branch out with my whiskey drinks. Instead of scrubs, Gonzalez is wearing her best jewelry and sitting on a tufted green banquette at a vintage steakhouse called Mr. Lyons in Palm Springs, California. She's here to learn how to make a range of cocktails, including century-old classics and modern risks like the smoky penicillin. The class is part of Modernism Week, a festival held every February in Palm Springs that attracts mid-century architect enthusiasts from around the world with home and neighbor lectures and tours. Cocktails are front and center during the 11-day festival at a party with a live band playing the music of James Bond films and a martini-fueled evening at the Clark Gable and Carol Lombard estate in the dimly lit confines of a steakhouse. For attendees, the events offer a trip back to the age of old Hollywood glam, the inspiration for a nostalgic cocktail party at home. The setting. It's play acting, says Kate Bruno, an interior designer from San Diego. Bruno, dressed in pink and yellow, was at mid-century themed cocktail party called Tickle Pink. You get to co-play who you want to be and how you want to live your life. About 130 guests drinking the signature pickled pink cocktail, which is vodka, cranberry, Sprite, and margarita mix, wandered through the modern Villa Sierra, stopping to admire its pink door, floor to ceiling glass windows, and a manicured green lawn. Most of the partygoers wore brightly colored vintage outfits, often in geometric patterns with lots of hats, scarves, and jewelry. To be able to dress up and be glamorous and feel the vibe on the ground of the state is a dream come true, says Karen Guitar, who flew in from Melbourne, Australia, and wore a Gucci scarf, a pink 60s style shift dress by Australian designer Anna Thomas, and starlet wrap a la Betty Grable. Here's a recipe for one of the drinks that the attendees had, the New York Sour. Originated in Chicago in the late 1880s, this cocktail was once called Claret Snap and Continental Sour. When it gained popularity in New York, the name changed. It takes 10 minutes and it makes one cocktail. You need 2 ounces of rye whiskey, 1 ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, a half an ounce of egg white, and a half an ounce of red wine. In a shaker without ice, combine all ingredients except red wine and dry shake to emulsify the egg white. Add ice and shake again. Double strain over new ice in a glass. Float the red wine on top. Enjoy. You've been listening to the reading of articles and features from Saturday, Sunday, March 7th, 8th issue of Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal. We read from Off Duty at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Your reader has been Patricia Mary. Thank you for listening. God bless and be safe out there. Enjoy the sunshine.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have Harper's Magazine. At 8 o'clock, we have Sports Illustrated. At 9 o'clock, we have The Athletic, a section of the New York Times. Stay with us for these readings and more through the rest of the evening. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes